Zhang Henshui's Golden Pink Family Chapter 38. Everyone laughs at the emerald green and the red. There are intrigues, and there is a girl begging for mercy. Seeing that Shuju was angry, Yanxi felt a little angry in her heart. She just let them go, but did not try to stop them. He turned his back and came to Jianyuan to talk to Miss Zhang Wu'er. After Zhang Meiyun left Yanxi, she asked Miss Wu'er, "Is this Miss Bai the fiancée of Master Qi?" Miss Wu'er smiled and said, "Yes or no." Zhang Meiyun said, "I'm very puzzled by this. Yes, it is. No, it is no. How can it be a two-sided situation?" Miss Wu'er said, "You don't know something. This Miss Bai is the cousin of their third young lady. She often hangs out with the Jin family, and she has been with Master Qi for a long time." Very good. Although she is not officially engaged, it is an open secret that she is going to marry Master Qi. This year, Master Qi met a new lady Leng, and their relationship became extremely good, and they gradually became estranged from Miss Bai. Miss Bai is very competitive and often embarrasses Mr. Yanxi over the smallest things, so he becomes even more indifferent and blindly becomes a couple with Miss Leng. However, this matter is not very public in their family. Only a few people knew about it. This Miss Bai was kept in the dark and never heard anything, so she still thought of herself as the young lady of the Jin family, and she was actually worried about her fiancé. As long as she keeps doing this and spoils the relationship, the oral engagement will naturally break down, and he can marry this Miss Leng. I have met this Miss Leng several times, and she is a very gentle person. She said several times that she wanted to visit her at her home, but she always forgot about it because of her fooling around. "I think the relationship between you and Qi is not bad," Wu said with a smile. The second young lady blushed and said with a smile, "I'm not qualified, but among friends, we are very casual." Zhang Meiyun smiled and said, "This sentence is very casual, which can be studied. How casual are you?" Wu'er, the young lady said, "Although I'm not very stubborn, I can't do very ridiculous things. The level of casualness is just playing and dancing. I think that in life, grass grows in spring, and how long it takes will pass in the blink of an eye. If we don't have fun in this colorful world while we are still young, we won't be able to play in time when we are old." Just as he said this, Yanxi came from outside. Zhang Meiyun smiled and said, "Where is Miss Bai? Why did Master Qi come back alone?" Yanxi said, "I am not looking for her. I have a few words with Mrs. Bai." Miss Wu'er smiled and said, "Who are you talking to? It doesn't matter. Do we care about freedom of speech?" Yanxi said with a smile, "Miss Wu always speaks so profoundly. I just talk casually, and it has no effect." Miss Wu'er said, with a smile, "Your words are more interesting. You are talking casually. Am I not talking casually?" Zhang Meiyun said, "Come on, don't talk about it. It's better to talk about it with each other. It's no longer interesting." Yanxi smiled and said, "That's right. This kind of thing just needs to be understood by each other. There is no need to talk about it in depth." When he said this, he looked at Zhang Meiyun. Zhang Meiyun thought he meant to ridicule her, and her face turned red. Miss Wu'er smiled and said, "Look, Master Qi said that he spoke very casually. Such words are understated and make people feel embarrassed. Isn't this profound?" Yanxi even waved his hand and said, "Don't say it. No more talking. I'll treat you to dinner." The waiter standing by was extraordinarily smart. After hearing this, he quietly handed over the paper vegetable sign. Yanxi's hand. Yanxi took the dish sign and said to Zhang Wu and Zhang Wu, "Look, even if I don't treat him, he still wants me to treat him." After that, he smiled at the servant and said, "You are deliberately giving it to me. Make trouble. I just said it as a favor. You see, you can't bring me the food sign without my permission. Let me explain first. I don't have any with me today. Money. You have to write it to me when you finish eating. Go and ask the counter if you can do it." The waiter was embarrassed to say anything and just smiled at the side. Yanxi smiled and said, "Looking at it like this, I guess I can't keep accounts. Just come here first and eat later." The waiter left. Zhang Meiyun smiled and said, "Master Jin Qi is so casual, and he can talk to the waiter." Yanxi said, "Miss Zhang accidentally said something conscientious. I am very casual. After all, am I not?" Miss Wu'er said, "Miss Zhang, I was doing you a favor. Why did you start scolding me like a friend?" Zhang Meiyun said with a smile, I just focused on the matter in front of me and forgot about what I said before. I'm really sorry. I'll apologize to you. Do you think so? Miss Wu said with a smile. I don't dare to take it seriously. Yanxi said. Miss Zhang offended Miss Wu because of me. I'll just apologize to Miss Wu. Miss Wu said. This is strange. I am friends with Master Qi. She is friends with Master Qi, and we are all friends. Why does Miss Zhang want Master Qi to apologize when she offends me? How should I say this? If it were me. Did you offend Miss Zhang? Yanxi said. Of course, I will apologize to Miss Zhang for you. Miss Wu said. Then why? Yanxi said. Didn't you just say that? Friend. I apologize for my friend. I think this is also my duty. After saying this, both Zhang and Wu laughed. Yanxi was angry just now, but now, talking and laughing, she has completely forgotten what happened just now. Shuju, who was causing trouble, thought that Yanxi couldn't bear it and would never be angry to the end, so she wandered in the park and didn't leave yet. Now she and her sister-in-law walked slowly in front of Jin Yuxuan. Looking across the corridor from a distance, they saw Yanxi and Zhang Wu eating a big meal there. They were eating and laughing at the same time. It was very interesting to watch. Shuju didn't look at it. Her eyes were on fire, her cheeks were red, and she wanted to cry. He said, Sister-in-law, we are also going to have dinner there. I'll treat you. Mrs. Bai didn't pay attention to her yet. Then she smiled and said, What do you want me to do? Shuju said, If someone eats there to satisfy us, then we will lose a few dollars and cannot afford a big meal. After hearing this, Mrs. Bai, when I looked forward, I saw that Yanxi and her two girlfriends were eating dinner there, and then I realized that Shuju had said this out of anger. He said, You are such a child. How could you say such a thing? Master Qi may not know that we are still in the park. It's better if he is treating us. If someone else is treating him, he will still greet us as soon as we go. What about us? Why don't you greet us? Let's go. It's even more embarrassing to stand here. When he said this, he took Shuju and left. Shuju was originally angry, but when her sister-in-law said it, she felt that it was right, so she stiffened her neck and followed. Yanxi saw two women swaying under the shadow of the trees outside the corridor from a distance, and guessed that they were Aunt Shuju. Ignore her and see what she does. Later, I seemed to hear the sentence, Let's go. The voice was extremely stiff, not the Beijing accent of ordinary people, and I knew that it was what sister-in-law Shuju said. Just put a stone in my heart. When it was time to serve coffee, the waiter came to report that there was a call from the house and asked Mr. Qi to speak. Yanxi thought to herself, Who at home knows I am here? Could it be the call from Shuju? I was afraid that if I didn't go to answer the call, she would be even more angry, so I had to go and answer the call. When I heard it, it was Jin Rong's report. It is said that the third master is at the second master Liu's place and has made several calls, urging you to go quickly. There are many people waiting there. When Yanxi heard this, he suddenly woke up. We had already made an appointment to meet Bai Lianhua at Liu Baoshan's house tonight. We were busy in the park and almost forgot about it. Now that I have come to remind you twice, I guess White Lotus has arrived first. It was not convenient for people to come and wait for a long time. At that time, I told Zhang and Wu that there was a call from home and I had to go back first. So he took out the money and settled the account with them. When a girlfriend and her boyfriend are together, the boyfriend will usually pay the bills, so Yanxi is not polite, and they are not modest either. After Yanxi settled the account, he walked out of the park gate and went to Liu Baoshan's house. Liu Baoshan's guest room was already filled with people talking and making a scene. Once inside, the men were Peng Zhen, Liu Baoshan, and Wang Yechen, and the women were Bai Lianhua and Hua Yuxian. As soon as Yanxi came in, Hua Yuxian dragged Bai Lianhua forward, handed Yanxi's hand to Bai Lianhua, and let Bai Lianhua hold it. He smiled and said, Hey, your man is here. Finally, Liu Arai knows how to stretch his hair. I called you twice, and it was all in vain. Liu Baoshan said with a smile, Hey, Boss Hua, please be polite. Don't use random words to add titles to people. Hua Yuxian smiled and said, What are you saying to be rude? Liu Baoshan said, The word slimming was added to me. Is this still polite? The two of them were having a verbal dispute here, and Yanxi and Bai Lianhua listened quietly. Bai Lianhua held Yanxi's hand but ignored it. Yanxi's hand was held by Bai Lianhua, but she didn't notice it. Wang Yechen smiled and said, Master Qi, what's the matter with you? Is it time for you to shake hands? Do you just hold hands like this? After saying this, Bai Lianhua woke up, her face turned red with shame, and she quickly retracted with his hand. He stepped back and said to Hua Yuxian with a smile, "It's all because of your troubles that I hit a big nail." As he said this, he pursed his lips. Hua Yuxian said, "Okay, I meant well, but you are blaming me. Is there anyone else who can be a good person? Come on. We just don't have to do anything." Second Master Liu, "We invited the seventh master. Come on. Why should we bother you? Let's ask Master Qi to go back." Peng Zhen frowned and said, "I'm sorry to say anything to hide my face." Hua Yuxian said with a smile, "This person's words are just a matter of taste." Wang Yechen said with a smile, "It doesn't matter what you say, but there are 3 things wrong with it." Hua Yuxian said with a smile, "How can there be 3 things wrong with such a sentence?" Wang Yechen said, "Don't be busy, let me tell you the reason. You said that the third master ate the insides and outside. I didn't hear what the third master ate from you. I would like to hear the details. This is wrong. Since we are talking about eating the insides, of course, you are one of the third masters. This is your own confession. Don't say that it is wrong. Just now you were picking on others, but now you say this, and others are picking on you. Look, this is wrong. Look, what I said is correct or not." Hua Yuxian was refuted by him and was speechless. Peng Zhen pulled her to sit down on the sofa chair. He smiled and said, "Let's talk. Stop chatting." At this time, Bai Lianhua and Yanxi had been standing under the eaves of the corridor outside the door, chattering and talking a lot. Peng Zhen pointed outward with his hand, and said with a smile, "Do you see how polite people are? How about a person like you, singing 18 songs?" Hua Yuxian said with a smile, "Isn't it easy to be polite? I won't move right now. How about I listen to what you say?" After she finished speaking, she sat still. Bai Lianhua hoped that Yanxi would support her and tried her best to follow Yanxi's words. The more they talked, the more interesting it became. Everyone in the room was paying attention to them, but they had no idea. Wang Yechen has a childish temper and is always naughty. Silently, he took out 2 small round stools and placed them behind them. He said, with a smile, "I think it's too tiring for you to stand. Let's sit down and talk." Yanxi said, with a smile, "You little devil will hurt others. Let's stand and talk for a while. What's so special about this? You're the only one who is greedy. Come on, call Huang Saru over and let everyone make a fuss. What do you think?" Bai Lianhua, he smiled and said, "Second Master Wang is really afraid of her. It would be a good idea to call her here." Wang Yechen didn't want Huang Saru at all, so naturally he refused, so there was another fuss. After the commotion continued for more than an hour, Peng Zhen asked Liu Baoshan, "With all the good guests coming to your house, is it just tea and cigarettes that are used to entertain you? Have you prepared any snacks?" Liu Baoshan said with a smile, "We have everything we need. Just listen to the third master's instructions. What should you prepare?" Peng Zhen said, "Nothing else. You have to prepare some porridge." Liu Baoshan stood in front of Peng Zhen, with his hands hanging down, and he said a straight word. Peng Zhen said with a smile, "Are you trying to hurt me? Or are you reluctant to give up the porridge?" Liu Baoshan said, "Not at all. I am just so polite. Although being polite is polite, there is one more thing I want to declare, that is, Boss Hua, Boss Li, everyone has this intention. I hope everyone can play cards with her." When Yanxi heard about it, she asked Bai Lianhua, "Really? Do you have this idea?" Bai Lianhua said with a smile, "I dare not say, it depends on you." Wang Yechen said with a smile, "Why are you so polite? Just let everyone do it." Peng Zhen said, "Let me tell you first, only one of my brothers will play." Liu Baoshan said, "Why?" Peng Zhen said, "What's not clear about this? With this way of playing, either the Jin family will win or the Jin family will lose the money, so that one will win and the other will lose. After the fight, Yuxian and I are here. Just watch the cards." Yanxi said, "I'm not happy to play cards. I'd rather sit and talk." Liu Baoshan said with a smile, "You two are the ones who love playing cards. Why are you so humble tonight? We are here, and there is no one to talk with us. I'm afraid that everyone is rushing to play cards." Without saying a word, I only heard someone shouting from outside, "Bomb." Amidst the sound of the bomb, I could only hear it in the middle of the room. With a plop, everyone in the room was so frightened that their hearts beat. Bai Lianhua was sitting next to Yanxi. She was so frightened that she turned away and hid in his arms. Then everyone burst into laughter again. It turned out that Huang Siru and Wang Jinyu had come. Huang Siru had bought a box of fake bombs wrapped in paper and sand from a toy stall and hid them on her body. Before entering the house, she told the servants not to speak. When people were talking in the room, she took 3 bombs in one hand and threw them against the wall of the corridor, which scared everyone. She and Wang Jinyu laughed when they saw that everyone had been fooled. Liu Baoshan saw this and was the first to disagree. He said, "Fortunately, we are not timid. If we were timid, we would have lost half our lives. I propose to severely punish Siru. Do you agree?" Everyone agreed and asked how to punish her. Liu Baoshan said, "I thought they should be punished." At this point, he laughed and said, "We can't take advantage of her in front of Master Wang, so let her give Master Wang a kiss." Wang Yechen jumped up and laughed and said, "Nonsense. I didn't recruit you. Why are you making fun of me?" Liu Baoshan gave him a look and laughed. "Silly. This is a good thing for you to be promoted. Why do you oppose such a good opportunity?" Huang Siru said, "Hey, Master Liu, you have to tell me how to punish me. I don't understand what a kiss is. Don't play dumb and curse." Yanxi imitated the tone of singing opera lines and said to her, "Come closer to my ear." Huang Siru said, "Go ahead and say it. Master Liu can say it. So can you." Yanxi said, "Do you really want me to say it? I'll say it. He wants you to kiss Master Wang." Huang Siru glanced at Liu Baoshan, curled his lips and smiled. "This is a good thing. How can it be considered a punishment? Master Liu said that he is a fool, and I don't know who he was scolding." Liu Baoshan said, "I am not stupid, but I want to be smarter. If I force you to take advantage of me, you may not agree." Huang Siru said, "Why not? Just give me some benefits." Wang Yechen laughed and said, "Boss Huang is really straightforward and speaks bluntly." Huang Siru said, "It's not that I am blunt, because the more embarrassed I am, the more you make fun of me. It's better to be open. It's just a big deal, and you can't make any sense by making a fuss." Wang Yechen said, "That's right, but jokes should be polite to be interesting. If you do everything openly, it will be boring." Huang Siru said, "I am not a person who likes to make trouble, but if I don't give them a big hand, they will bully me." Wang Yechen said, "Just now, you threw a bomb to scare people before you even entered the door. Is this also bullying you?" Huang Siru laughed and said, "I was wrong this time. Next time I will be polite. See if others still make trouble with me. Do you not make trouble with me?" After saying that, he sat on a sofa next to Wang Yechen, smiling and saying nothing. Yanxi smiled and said, "It's the same thing in the world. Everyone obeys everyone. She is not afraid of a lively person like Mr. Huang. As long as Wang Lauer says something, she will obey." Wang Lauer still says that he has no feelings for Mr. Huang. I don't agree with this statement. Huang Siru said, "Why does the eldest sister of the Li family listen to the words of the 7th master? Isn't it the same?" Wang Yechen said, "You just said politely. Can it be considered polite? Don't say that. I have no relationship with you. Even if I do, don't admit it in front of everyone. If you want to compare me to the 7th master, I dare not do so." Yanxi said, "We are all just friends. It's not right to say who is better than whom." Wang Yechen pushed Huang Siru and said with a smile, "Did you hear that?" "That's what he said." Huang Siru said with a smile, "How dare I compare with Mr. Qi? Mr. Qi is a young master, and I am an opera singer. If I can talk like Mr. Qi, then I am at least a young lady." Yanxi said, "You too. One says you can't compare with me, and the other says you can't compare with me. Since you can't compare with me, don't sit here, please go out." This rebuttal left the two of them speechless. Liu Baoshan said, "Don't make a fuss. Let's do the original agreement and play cards." Peng Zhen said, "What if there are not enough stars?" Liu Baoshan said, "I can make do with one, and call to find another one. I will find one." Yanxi said, "Don't look for others, look for Lao Zhao. He and Boss Wang are good." As he said that, he pointed his mouth at Wang Jinyu. Peng Zhen said, "Forget it. He is a bit like his distant ancestor Kuang Yin, with great skills." Yanxi said, "Playing cards is just turning over 14 cards. What great skills does he have? It depends on luck." Liu Baoshan smiled and asked Wang Jinyu, "Boss Wang, we have decided to find him. Do you agree?" Wang Jinyu smiled and said, "Second Master Liu, you all invite people to play cards. How can I know who to find?" Yanxi said, "Second Master Liu, you really ask a redundant question. Is it reasonable for good friends to not welcome good friends?" Liu Baoshan then asked the servant to make a scene while calling Zhao Menjiwan. Zhao Menjiwan knew that there was a commotion at Liu Baoshan's house, but he had to go because there was a dinner party in the evening. After leaving, he told his family that if there was a call from Liu's house, they should transfer the call to the restaurant. As soon as the call was answered, his servant did so. Zhao Menjiwan took the car to Liu's house without finishing his meal, using the phone call as an excuse. As soon as they entered the living room, Yanxi smiled and said, "How fast. If you can do things in the government office, you will be able to do your job very well." Zhao Menjiwan said, "Why do you have to be so diligent in going to the government office? If you work hard, who will reward you? I think it is reasonable to go to the government office every day. There are also people who don't go to the government office all year, and they get more money than us." Peng Zhen said, "This is not the Pink Seng Court. Why do you have to complain here? Hurry up and go on stage. The three families are waiting for your gifts." Zhao Menjiwan said, "Who are you playing cards with today? Who has to treat me first? It's uncertain how much you will win or lose in this game. If you win, it's fine, but if you lose, won't my money be thrown into the water?" When he said this, he first looked at Hua Yuxian, and then at Bai Lianhua. The two of them had not heard the host say who they played cards with, so they didn't dare to admit it. Peng Zhen said, "We haven't helped Boss Li yet, so let's fight him today." Bai Lianhua stood up and said to Peng Zhen with a smile, "Thank you, Third Master." "Thank you, Mr. Zhao." Zhao Menjiwan stepped forward, held her hand, and said with a smile, "I admire you for thanking us at the right time." Bai Lianhua was held by Zhao Menjiwan's hand. She turned her head and said to Liu Baoshan with a smile, "Thank you, Second Master Liu." Liu Baoshan smiled and said, "You are so smart. I didn't say a word in my heart. Saying you wouldn't thank me? You guessed it first. Why don't you thank Seventh Master?" Bai Lianhua said, "Don't people say that I have a closer relationship with Seventh Master? There's no need to be polite." Liu Baoshan said, "Did you hear that, Seventh Master? Just based on these two sentences, a bowl of thick rice soup would make you confused." Yanxi sat back on the sofa and just smiled. The messenger came to say that the cards had been laid out. Liu Baoshan said to Peng Zhen, "Which of the brothers will come?" Hua Yuxian said, "The eldest sister of the Li family said that the Seventh Master has a close relationship with her. Of course the Seventh Master should come." Liu Baoshan said, "No, there is no such thing as one's own people drawing for one's own people. Since you said that, the Third Master should come." Hua Yuxian smiled and said, "My question has actually brought out the Third Master's responsibility. He has to play this card. In this case, please ask the Third Master to play." "I strongly agree. I can do the same next time." Bai Lianhua smiled and said, "Okay, big sister, ask the Third Master to help me. It will be good for you." Hua Yuxian said, "Why do you say that? Can I stop the Third Master from playing?" As they were talking, everyone got up and walked towards the small living room next to them. Bai Lianhua hugged Hua Yuxian's neck and whispered into her ear for a while. Then he patted Hua Yuxian's shoulder and said, "Big sister, that's it. I'm counting on you." Hua Yuxian glanced at Yanxi and smiled. Yanxi smiled and said, "I know. I will definitely help you in the future." Hua Yuxian smiled and said, "As long as the Seventh Master says a word, I'll be relieved." They followed him to the card field together. Peng Zhen said, "How big are you going to play? 500 yuan a bottom?" Wang Yechen shook his hands and said, No, I can't play that big. What if I lose? Can the Third Master lend me money to pay off my debts?" Peng Zhen said, "Don't be petty. It's just a small matter. How shameful is it to refuse? Besides, we are still exchanging conditions. I will help you next time." Wang Yechen said, "What will you help me with next time?" Peng Zhen pointed his mouth at Huang Siru and said, "Aren't you going to play cards with her?" Huang Siru, I really didn't expect Peng Zhen to say such nice words. I couldn't help but smile with squinted eyes, and said, "As long as everyone can give me face, why wouldn't I be unwilling to do you a favor?" Wang Yechen smiled and said, "You are really not polite at all. You guessed that I would definitely do you a favor." Huang Siru smiled and said, "Third Master, I won't serve you. You just don't want to in your heart." If you say it in front of these people, where will I put my face? She said such soft words that Wang Yechen couldn't say anything and just smiled. Liu Baoshan said with a smile, "We are just helping people." Third master, do you think we are fighting for our lives? I have my own limit, at most 200 yuan per bet. If I give 6 or 700 yuan, I can probably write a check. If it is more, don't blame me for writing a bad check to pay off the debt. Peng Zhen said with a smile, only you are willing to say that, because you always accompany guests and can't get back your capital. Liu Baoshan said with a smile, isn't it? If I follow third master's quota to accompany guests, there are still 3 or 4 shows here. How much money should I spend to accompany guests? Yanxi also thought that Wang Yechen was present, so he couldn't lose more. If he lost too much money, he couldn't pay it out, and Yufan would know that he was teasing her brother and couldn't afford the reputation. So he said, it's okay to be small. We are just having fun. After a few days, I will come out to accompany guests, and I will do the same. Wang Yechen said with a smile, even if 7th master can understand me, we will play a 200 yuan bet. With the situation like this, everyone had no objection. After 4 rounds, Wang Yechen lost 1.5. Yanxi felt very upset, so he said, second brother, let's start a company together. Wang Yechen laughed and said, no, I lost a small hole. If we join forces, I can only get back half of my money. Yanxi said, if we want to start a company, of course we have to start from the first 4 rounds. Zhao Menjuan gave Yanxi a thumbs up and said with a smile, 7th master is doing a good job. The second time we lose the card game, we will also ask 7th master to start a company. If the company is going to go bankrupt, there will be people who will welcome foreign shares to join. Wang Yechen laughed and said, nonsense. My company has strong capital and will never go bankrupt. As he said this, Yanxi took out a stack of banknotes from his body, stretched it over his shoulder, and gently placed it in front of Wang Yechen, and said with a smile, take it first, these are to shares. Wang Yechen laughed and said, hey, I came here on purpose to show my support. I have a lot of cash on me. Yanxi said with a smile, do you think I am the god of wealth? I carry a few hundred yuan with me. In fact, because I have run out of money, I took out the money from the bank this afternoon. If I lose, I will have to think of a way to get pocket money tomorrow. Wang Yechen said with a smile, I won't lose. Clothes are spirit, money is courage, and with money, I will let go. Liu Baoshan said, second brother, you have exposed your true colors. So you are a hollow official with no capital? We almost let you cheat us of our money. Wang Yechen said, it's okay to cheat. You asked me to come, not me. Yanxi said, don't joke. Don't lose my money. I will be your advisor. So Yanxi sat on his left, Bai Lianhua sat behind him, and Huang Saru sat on his right. The 3 of them helped him play cards. After 4 rounds, Wang Yechen actually turned losses into wins. When he lost money, Huang Saru sat at the side and didn't dare to get close or talk much. Now they are talking and laughing. When Wang Yechen smoked a cigarette, Huang Saru wiped the lamp and lit it for him. Wang Yechen smoked half a cigarette and stopped smoking, so Huang Saru took it and smoked it herself. The people playing cards were so focused on playing cards that they didn't pay attention. Yanxi kept touching Bai Lianhua with his arm and looking at her. Bai Lianhua also looked at Yanxi and smiled slightly. While Huang Saru was smoking, Wang Yechen reached out to the coffee table next to him to get a teacup. He took the teacup and was about to drink it. Huang Saru held his hand and said, it's cold, you can't drink it, let me do it. Then he stood up, poured a cup of steaming hot tea from the teapot on the coffee table next to him, and brought it to Wang Yechen. His mind was on playing cards, and when the tea came, he raised the teacup and drank it. He didn't even say the word excuse me. Yanxi didn't notice it at first, but since this happened, he couldn't stop glancing at her. Huang Saru and Wang Yechen each had their own thoughts, and she didn't know that someone was paying attention to her. Later, Wang Yechen took a good deck of cards and was about to play with all the cards. Huang Saru stretched his head to Wang Yechen's shoulder and smiled and told him to play cards. Yanxi pulled Bai Lianhua's sleeve privately, but couldn't help laughing. He meant to tell Wang and Huang how intimate they were. Bai Lianhua misunderstood his meaning and thought he had something to say, so he sat aside under the pretext of pouring tea. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.